We need to conclude with something that is very interesting and also alarming, I should say, to see. And that is that what is happening is that we are seeing the rise of a radical reinterpretation of our faith in light of our modern and postmodern values. And we see this in gender and sexuality and other things, and we're also now seeing this, believe it or not, for udhiyah. What do I mean? So we see a new trend of a group that considers it to be unethical to eat animals. We see a new movement of veganism or vegetarianism, and this movement believes that it is immoral. It is in their sharia, I'm being a little bit facetious here, in their version of sharia, it is haram to sacrifice an animal. They think that it is disgusting and barbaric to sacrifice an animal. And so they have influenced some Muslims, and these Muslims are asking us to rethink through the concept of udhiyah overall. And it is something that one half of me wishes to laugh at the ludicrousness, and the other half wishes to cry at the stupidity, to be honest, that I have seen. And Allah, if I had not seen this, I tell you honestly, if I had not seen it with my own eyes, I would not believe that there are people doing this. But there are people doing this, and it is obvious to me that this movement is going to grow more and more. So there is a new movement now that is calling for, and I have to keep a straight face when I say this, udhiyah of vegetables and not of meats. Okay, so there is a call now that we distribute vegetables to the poor on Eid al-Adha and not distribute meat to the poor. And the reason being that this group of Muslims is claiming that this is the intended reality of Islam, that we should not be sacrificing an animal because it is barbaric and cruel, and because the way that it is done is unethical and immoral. And so they are calling for a complete reinterpretation, that on the day of Eid, take a stand and distribute, mashallah, carrots and broccoli, mashallah, okay, rather than udhiyah meat. Now, this is honestly a troubling sign. It is symptomatic of a far greater problem, and that problem is the attempt to radically revise Islamic norms in light of what this group considers to be modern humanitarian notions. And we have to be very clear here. We obtain our values and our ethics and our laws from the divine, and not from the whims and the ever-changing caprice of the people around us. We do not obtain right and wrong and good and bad and moral and immoral from whatever is the current flavor of the month, because the societies we live in keep on updating and changing their own values and norms. What is halal is what Allah tells us is halal, and what is haram is what Allah tells us is haram. That is how we get our values from. Now, to be clear, if a group of Muslims is saying that we are not treating animals the way that Islam wants us to treat animals, and that we are inhumane and cruel in that we are not feeding them properly and we are not sacrificing them properly, I say to this, there's an element of truth. Excuse me. There's an element of truth to what this group is saying. But the way to respond to this is not by banning the sacrifice of meat, but rather for calling for the improvement of the treatment of animals. So you are correct, and I will be the first to say that the mass slaughter that is rampant in abattoirs and in meat-producing factories, it is something that goes against the sunnah. There's no question about this. It goes against the sunnah. But does it mean that such meat becomes haram? Does it mean that we do not do the udhiyah? No. What it means is that we should try our best to raise the bar of how meat is slaughtered and to do it in a humane fashion. That is what it means. If a person wants to champion this cause, we say that, you know what, we are in agreement with you. And we should try our best to feed animals pure and tayyib and halal, and not feed them najis. We should try our best to make it easy for the animals to breathe and live, because yes, it is true, the way they're packed, like sardines, and we're talking about livestock, we're talking about cows, we're talking about chickens, and they're just treated in a very inhumane manner. But the solution is not to ban the slaughter of animals. And by the way, and again, to be technical here, if an animal is mistreated in this fashion, the sin of the mistreatment is on the farmer and on the one who facilitates that. The animal being slaughtered after it has been mistreated does not make the animal haram to eat. You can choose to not eat such an animal, but don't make it haram on the rest of mankind, because that's a very big thing. Because to treat an animal in a humane manner and to feed it organic food and to do so and so, you are raising the cost. And as we're all aware, those of us that live in Western lands, the price of meat that is ethically farmed and humanely raised, it is sometimes triple or quadruple. Now maybe you can afford it and I can afford it, and alhamdulillah for that. But you cannot expect the average person of an average income or below average income to pay such money. So you try your best to lobby and raise the bar, but don't make it prohibited upon the rest of the people. So that's if the goal is to raise the bar of how the animals are treated. However, if the goal is to criminalize the killing of animals, if the point is to say that it is inhumane and unethical to kill animals, and you say that it is disgusting to eat animal meat, in this case I say that you have challenged the Sharia of Allah, and you have rejected the explicit commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah has allowed that meat to be eaten. And anybody who does so, wallahi, we fear from that person a potential rejection of the faith itself. So be careful, dear brothers and sisters, be careful about this issue, and make sure that we do not subject the Sharia to the whims and to the caprice of the societies around us. Rather, we need to conform to the Sharia and not the other way around. So with this, inshaAllah ta'ala, we wrap up and wind down, and to conclude, and we say that definitely in these days coming up, try your best to sacrifice an animal and distribute to the poor. Expect Allah to reward you. Follow the sunnah as much as you can. It is one of the most blessed things we can do in these 10 days. I hope that this was of benefit to all of us. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.